现在好了吗？
Hi everyone, welcome to the Elendi Files, where we navigate the complexities of the global regulatory landscape and market access of medical products. Our goal is to help make global medical product regulations accessible to everyone. So whether you are a manufacturer, an intermediary, a regulatory specialist, or CEO of a MedTech startup, you're in the right place. Be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn and our website ElendiLabs.com. This is Teddy, the General Manager of ElendiLabs at ElendiLabs. We're all about connecting clients with medical product manufacturers, medtech startups, biotech startups with the right regulatory expertise to get products to people faster. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by Ann from VITANIA, a firm based in Singapore that helps with healthcare innovation and cross-border market entry partner and helping them to with medical technology companies to move from regulatory readiness to real-world validation. We're going to spend some time learning more about the market access landscape in Singapore. And Anne, thanks for being here. To kick things off, could you give us a brief introduction of what VITANIA specializes in?
Okay. Hi, Terry. Good morning. This is Ann. I came from the VITANIA, Singapore. So VITANIA is a Singapore-based healthcare technology and cross-border healthcare solution companies. We have the offices in UK as well. And we help the medical technology companies and the relative the medical device companies move from the technology and the regulation to the real healthcare use and to the real healthcare scenarios. So we work with the companies that may have some strong technologies, but need a practical understanding of how healthcare systems actually operate in the new market. So our work can include the medical device regulatory support, the technology assessment, Singapore hospital market validation, especially the government hospital, POC and the pilot planning, and the relative the technology localization. And we also provide the cross-border healthcare project development, especially Singapore with between Singapore and China. So we do more than the traditional consulting. We actually act as a local partner and help the global companies answer the two questions. So first is, can we enter the Singapore market? Can we enter the Chinese market? And the second is, can our technology work and be adopted in the Singapore or in the Chinese market as well? So that is VITANIA, what VITANIA do and who is VITANIA.
Great, that's some great foundation. I'm wondering if you have any concrete problems that you're primarily solving for medical technology companies trying to enter a new market. Any common problems? Yeah.
Yes, I think the biggest challenge is often not the technology itself. I think the good product does not automatically means that the local hospital can use it. So every healthcare system has its own regulations. In Singapore, in Thailand, in China, in Malaysia. So every country has its own regulations, own clinical workflows, the procurement process, the IT environment, and the relative data requirements. So that means that the local companies need to understand not only whether a product can be registered, but whether it solved the local real clinical and operational problem, and what kind of the stakeholder will use it, whether it fits existing workflows, and whether there is a realistic the pathway from the evaluation to the pilot, and eventually wider adoption. So I think that is where VITANIA adds value. So we connect the regulation and the market entry with the real hospital and the healthcare needs.
Yeah, just one quick question. I'm wondering if VITANIA has networks in the hospital setting? For example, can it like connect manufacturers with the hospital like management to present the products to the hospital healthcare professionals to educate them on the product specialties and the correct use of the product?
Yes, correct.
So yes, so VITANIA does have hospital networks so that it can really connect manufacturers with people from the hospital so that they can have like a seminar or uh, a product introduction meeting to educate healthcare professionals on the correct use of the product, right?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
great. And I also wonder what role medical device regulatory support play in your business.
So that is a very good question. So regulatory is an important part of our work, especially in Singapore market. We help the companies understand the right regulatory pathway, the required documents and the possible gaps, and the practical registration steps. But I think the regulatory approval from the NSA is not the finish line. For many medical technology companies, I think it is only the beginning. Because the next question I would like to raise is that once the product can enter the new market, how do you get the hospital and the healthcare teams to test it and eventually use it? So that's why we combine the regulatory support with the market entry, the technology assessment, and the implementation support together.
Great.
Yes.
So VITANIA does have to combine both the regulatory strategy and the market and access strategy, and all those all um, so different aspects of market access and registration affairs have to be taken into account before one company can secure success in Singapore. So how does VITANIA help an overseas company validate its product in Singapore?
Yes, actually, we usually start from with the technology and the market fit assessment. We look at the clinical needs first, and so, for example, for the nursing workflows, as well as definitely IT requirements, the regulations, and the actual hospital use case. So that will be depends on each of the project. We can then move to the POC or pilot. We also may help define the use case, define the key stakeholders, their pinpoint, the evaluation criteria, the scope, the timeline, and the coordination, etc. So our service is staged. So what is include the basic technology assessment, the deeper POC feasibility, and then the pilot design and the management. So our philosophy is simple: is validate first. Invest is the second. So scale is the last step. So our role is to connect the regulatory compliance with the real hospital use, while helping the companies collect the useful feedback and the relative evidence from the market. So based on our experiences, we think that the feedback was very important, because based on the experiences demonstrated is an important principle behind our work. So market entry does not always have to be a single process of the registration first, the adoption later. We think that with the right regulatory framework, the institutional pathway and the clinical purpose, the local companies or from the outside of the Singapore companies can sometimes pursue the regulatory release and the real world validation in parallel. So that allows the technology to enter the real hospital setting earlier. So the clinicians with physicians and healthcare teams could then evaluate its practical value and usability while the regulatory work continues. So instead of the waiting until the entire regulatory process was completed before engaging with the healthcare systems, we actually developed a staged approach. So we supported the companies on its regulatory pathway where the appropriate and subject to the relevant institutional requirements, helping the position the technology for research and evaluation purpose within the Singapore government hospital. So a recent example was we helped the Chinese ultrasound technology companies entering Singapore in recent couple of months. When we started, the product did not yet have HSA registration. Not yet get the Class B for the routine commercial use in Singapore. We help them to validate in the hospital first, validate it is feasible for their hospital scenarios, and the physician and the stakeholders can use it suitable or can think it is suitable for the Singapore market. So that is a good example to show that we will validate first and let the manufacturers invest it second. So that's what I think the overseas companies can validate their product in Singapore. That is a methodology from the VITANIA.
Great. So it's first it's validation, and then with the validation evidence you can present to the investors for money, and then
yes.
After that you can proceed to register the product, right?
Yes, correct.
The workflow. Can you also share a recent example of how VITANIA helped a medical technology company enter the Singapore public healthcare system, and what does a successful POC, proof of concept, or pilot look like from your perspective?
So that is a good question. So a good POC should answer a clear clinical, operational, or business question. So it should not be just a technology demonstration. Before a pilot starts, we usually help define the goals, the target, the use case, the evaluation criteria, the project scope, the timeline, and each of the stakeholder responsibility. And we may coordinate with relative the target hospital, their clinicians, their nurses, their IT teams, and the relative the technology provider. So our goal is not just to prove the technology works. We actually want to know whether it works in the real hospital environment in Singapore hospital scenario. So fix their workflow and create the real value in the clinical scenarios. So that is we explain how can be successfully to do the POC or pilot in our perspectives.
Great. So I kind of missed that. Sorry. So the recent example was the Chinese ultrasound technology, right? So the one that you just mentioned. So yeah, just
yes.
Forgive me for ignoring, for not paying attention to what you said. But so I also realized that localization is like a very vital part for market access in literally every market. So Why is technology localization so important in healthcare?
You know that healthcare, I think, is very local. A healthcare product that works well in one country, for example, in the work very well in China, is not mean that it may not work in the same way in another country like Singapore. So sometimes the core technology is very well, but the workflow, the user interface, the deployment model, the data setup, the compliance approach, or the business model needs to be changed. For example, in China, they didn't have the FHIR, the FHIR, this technology because it is a standard of the HL7. But in Singapore, the FHIR technology is widely used in the clinical scenarios. So that is a different workflow and the system configurations in different countries. So we therefore look at the localization from both technology and operational angles. So including the data and the security, the regulatory, the business models such as the subscription, the rental model, or the phased deployment model. That is the point of view of the technology localization is important in healthcare.
Great, yeah. I think it's important because due to the differences in regulations and adoption of technology, so China and Singapore, the two markets might vary, and manufacturers have to factor in those differences in order to gain a foothold in the Singaporean market. And I'm wondering if VITANIA only supports overseas companies entering Singapore. What about the other way around?
Yes. So actually, we see ourselves as a two-way bridge, which means that we help the international healthcare technology companies enter Singapore. And as well as we also help the Singapore healthcare organizations to understand and evaluate technology from the other market, which means that we also sometimes help the Singapore government hospital stakeholders to find out the relative unique technology or the right technology to evaluate and to let them to go to the Singapore market. For example, we can organize the technology companies to have some of the set visit, connect the hospital, and to have the meeting with the vendors and coordinate the demonstration and support earlier project evaluation. So that is a two-way approach. Help that VITANIA do. So we also to help both sides to understand what kind of the market really needs. So from the Singapore hospital side, we can help them to understand the suitable technology in the other market. So for the enterprise and the company, from their perspective, we will help them to evaluate the suitable hospital scenarios to help them to localization in the Singapore market. So we want healthcare organizations to find the useful technology more easily, and we also want to let the technology companies to better understand the different healthcare market in Singapore. So that is a real hospital needs in different market.
Great. And as I know, Singapore is becoming increasingly attractive as a market for medical technology companies. Is there any reason for this?
Yes. So as we all know that Singapore is very very small. It only has a 6 million populations in their country. So that is a very small market, but it is a very strong healthcare innovation environment. So you know that for many companies, Singapore can be more than a sale market because it is a small market, but it is a very good validation market. So companies can use Singapore to test their technology, to get the international feedback from the doctors and healthcare teams to improve their product and to build the reference site, the reference cases for the other the market. So the value of the Singapore is not only the revenue from the one project. I think it is also the quality of the validation, the relationships built, the evidence that can support the next market, especially in the southeast of Asia.
Great. And as you know, Singapore, China, and other Asia may have quite similar culture. And how do you see the relationship between countries like China, Singapore, and other wider Asian healthcare innovation ecosystem?
We see so you are right. So currently in the worldwide scenarios, especially between the China and Singapore, there is many issues, and there is also many opportunities. So we see the strong opportunities to connect the strengths of the different market. So especially China has a very large and increasingly medical technology ecosystem, as we all know. So with the China with the strong capabilities in hardware, the software integration, and very rapid product integration. So Singapore is different. Singapore provides a highly international and well-connected healthcare environment, as well as a useful reference market for the Southeast Asia. So our goal is not to copy one market into another. It is to understand what can be transferred and what needs to be localized, and where the right technology and the right healthcare use case is. So we think VITANIA do it is actually translation work. So the translation work VITANIA do, which include the technical, the clinical, the regulatory, and the commercial, we need to translate. So that is a core part. It is a core part work from the VITANIA does.
Great. You just mentioned the word ecosystem. So I'm wondering, does VITANIA support any long-term offer any long-term ecosystem support? And I'm wondering, can you expand on the ecosystem?
Yes. So some we actually connect some companies. So they are not looking for one hospital meeting or one exhibition. So a lot of companies, they want a long-term presence in healthcare ecosystem. So for those companies, we understand that their founders or their stakeholders to think the Singapore market is a leading point, especially in the Asian market. So VITANIA can support the longer term exposure and engagement through the technology sharing, the innovation events, and the product demonstrations. Also, we support the companies to hold the stakeholder discussion and where appropriate, the opportunities for the product trials I just mentioned, and the prove the concept work. So our goal is to build a long-term market presence, not just complete one transaction. We therefore look at the brand awareness, the ecosystem relationships, and practical paths from visibility to evaluation and adoption.
Yeah, great. And I also hear that VITANIA is also developing its own product and its own AI solution called VSense AI. What is it? Can you expand on that?
Yes, actually, VITANIA has our own product. It's very my honor to introduce about VITANIA's own product, means named VSense AI. It is an important part of the VITANIA's development. So we do not only advise innovators, we do not only to do the consulting services. We also want to build our own product and validate healthcare technology ourselves. So VSense AI is a Singapore-built edge AI solution especially for the elderly safety monitoring and risk alerts in nursing home environment. It is also used in the some of the real hospital scenarios, especially for some of the the behaviors. So it is designed for the non-intrusive, the real-time monitoring, and with this product work with the existing care workflows. So the idea is we develop this product is very simple. So we think the AI should not just create more data. It should help the care teams notice the important situation earlier and responsible more effectively. We saw that in the clinical scenarios, some of the nurses and the physicians didn't have much more time to detect the patient, to take care of the patient. So we developed this kind of the AI can help them to save time if some of the serious behavior, especially suicide and explication and falling, some of the behavior happened, and the AI will detect in the real time and to alert to the nurses, to the physicians in the real time. That is the core features of this kind of the product. Means it is a VSense AI.
Great.
VSense AI does it.
Yeah, I'm wondering. What does edge AI mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is edge AI.
So yeah, what does edge AI mean?
Edge AI means that it is in the private scenarios. Means that some of the calculation models will be done outside of the hospital, so it can protect the hospital data. Because in Singapore there is a PDPA policy, so the edge AI can definitely perfectly to use this PDPA policy to protect the patient data, the personal data, and the hospital data. So the AI can calculate and to analyze the data outside of the hospital and can transfer the result with the protected with to the hospital. Yes, this is edge AI.
Okay, that's why. Okay, so adopting this edge AI technology is important because VITANIA has to comply with Singapore's PDPA requirements, which means the
Right.
Personal Data Protection Act, right?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
okay. And what kinds of risks can we identify with VSense AI?
I just mentioned that our goal is to identify the high risk and unusual behavior that may need the staff attention rather than simply recording the video. So examples include the false and other potentially dangerous situations. We are also exploring the serious behavior risk, including the self-harm, the suicide, where earlier awareness. Some of the staffs and nurses may help care teams respond faster. So business AI can monitoring and alerting it is a monitoring and alerting support tool. It does not replace the clinical judgment, and it is positioned as a tool that dependently diagnoses a patient or predict and individual outcomes. So the business AI utilize the LLMs and prediction models to calculate some of the human behaviors, especially some of the abnormal behavior, the suicide, the self-harm, the falling activation, etc.
So compare with traditional CCTV, VSense AI can actually enable healthcare professionals to identify signals, safety signals, potential risks before any suicidal cases happen. So you also mentioned the use of LLM. So I think the use of AI here can really boost the efficiency in detecting potential safety signals, and I think the model can be trained, right? Can be improved, right? So as long as more data are collected, I think the AI's accuracy in detecting signals can be increased. So it's totally different from what we are having now, as compared with traditional CCTV. And I'm wondering if there is any study or statistics on how the adoption of this kind of AI technology really enhance the efficiency of safety signal detection. Any such studies? Any numbers or statistics?
Yes, there is a lot of numbers and statistics in all the papers in internet. You can search because this is the LLM's technologies in the real world. A lot of the technology companies and the technology use this kind of the model, especially some of the predictive model in different scenarios, in different industry. So that's why we different from the traditional CCTV. You just mentioned the traditional CCTV mainly provides the video and cannot to give some of alert. To the physician. So the traditional CCTV, the problem is that the staff cannot continuously watch the cameras. So our product can have some advantages with that.
Great. And okay, and I'm wondering what is the long-term vision for VITANIA? Because VITANIA has several scopes of services. It develops its own products and also provides regulatory support, market access services to its clients. So, what is the long-term vision for VITANIA?
Thank you. So our long-term vision is to connect innovation with a real hospital impact. So we want to help the healthcare technologies to move from the regulatory readiness to market validation, to clinical and operational evaluation, and then to scalable deployment. So at the same time, we want to develop our own healthcare technology capabilities and create the product that address the ingenious problems in care delivery in some of the special hospital scenarios. So VITANIA is more than a consulting company. We see ourselves as a healthcare innovation partner that combines the regulatory knowledge, the market access, the technology evaluation, the cross-border project support, and our own product innovation. So our goal is very simple: the local insight, global impact. We help the right healthcare technologies to reach the right market and to create the value for the patient, for the provider, and the healthcare systems as well.
Great, great. And I think these are incredibly practical insights, and it's rare to have companies like VITANIA that provide regulatory support, market access services, and also build its own products. It's quite rare, so I think it's really rewarding and fruitful for this meeting. And thanks for sharing your perspective with us today. For everyone listening or reading the transcript, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you on the platform. And if you haven't checked our website, please head to elendilabs.com and be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn.